Are we copying the answers to the Super Bowl puzzle? I know Keenan Allen is old, but this video is going to prove that he's not too old to be the Chargers' missing piece. The final part of this Harbaugh roster to bring a trophy not just to LA, but bring a trophy to Harbaugh as well. If you haven't heard yet and you've been living under a rock, Keenan Allen is re-signing with the Los Angeles Chargers. And the internet is going crazy, but here are my thoughts as a diehard Chargers and Keenan Allen fan. Of course, you're going to get an unbiased take here. I know Keenan Allen's old, but I gotta ask, did you think DeAndre Hopkins was too old to make an impact on the Chiefs' run to the Super Bowl last year? Remember, D-Hop was traded to the Chiefs mid-season from the Titans and ended up going all the way. He didn't have any crazy games. He did have that 1-2 touchdown performance, but D-Hop was a key leader in the development, a key locker room guy throughout the playoffs to say, look, everyone calm down. We are the Kansas City Chiefs. We are meant to be here. How about a few years ago when the Los Angeles Rams not only traded for Deshaun Jackson, but also traded for Odell Beckham Jr. in the middle of the season as he approached 30. Also, Odell had been riddled with injuries, not just that season, but throughout his entire career. So he not just was dealing with the age bug, he also was dealing with the injury bug. OBJ came into LA with Von Miller at the same time, might I add, and completely transformed the Rams' attitude in the receiving room. They were really good with Cooper Kupp and company and Van Jefferson and all those guys. But Odell gave them that second horse, that go-to veteran, that one-on-one mismatch that Stafford could pick on. When they doubled up Cooper Kupp, and sure enough in the Super Bowl, they tried to double up Cooper Kupp in the first half, OBJ went off and was on his way to being the Super Bowl MVP of that game as a veteran wide receiver being traded to an LA team. And the Super Bowl was in California that year. All the stars are aligning. They even both wore number 13 at one point. I know OBJ wore number 3 for the Rams. How about a few years before that? How old was Antonio Brown when he joined the Tampa Bay Buccaneers? I believe Antonio Brown was older than 30 years old, right? You can go ahead and fact check me and leave a comment in the comment section below. By the way, if you like my videos and you're an NFL fan, I know you will love these videos. Make sure you subscribe to the channel with notifications on. I noticed 99% of viewers are not subscribed. What are you guys doing? Like I was saying, Antonio Brown was over 30 years old, joined the Tampa Bay Buccaneers with a quarterback that was over 40 years old, but with a coach that knows exactly what he's doing, an extremely loaded team overall, and Antonio Brown was able to come in as that last piece. When you double up Mike Evans, when you're able to somehow cover up Gronk, I've got a one-on-one with AB outside. There's one thing AB can do, and there's one thing Keenan Allen can do, that's beat a DB one-on-one, especially your second, third, fourth DB, because you're allocating your resources to Tre Harris, to stopping the run, to keeping KLS or Darius Davis from getting over the top of your defense. And all of a sudden, Keenan Allen is going one-on-one with a slot corner or a safety, or God forbid, he motions close to the line, and Keenan Allen can either be a crackback blocker or a route runner versus linebackers. All right, maybe that's not enough for you. DeAndre Hopkins, Odell Beckham Jr., Antonio Brown. What about Emmanuel Sanders when he joined the 49ers? I believe he was 31, 32, 33 old or so. And then Emmanuel Sanders had a great year with the Niners and Jimmy Garoppolo, and the team went to the Super Bowl. And they came this close to winning that Super Bowl. Emmanuel Sanders was yards away. If Jimmy G makes that throw, the 49ers win that Super Bowl, and all of history has changed. I don't think Jimmy G ever leaves as the starting quarterback of the Niners, but he just misses the throw to Emmanuel Sanders. A 32-year-old wide receiver was involved in one of the most impactful plays in NFL history. Speaking of impactful Super Bowls, that 2012 Super Bowl is unforgettable. It's the one where the Ravens played the Niners. It was so electric between these two brothers. Harbaugh was involved in this one too. Two Harbaughs were involved in this one too. That Harbaugh was so electric that the power went out. But don't forget that key additions to the 49ers wide receiver core that helped mature that wide receiver core and Vernon Davis when Jim Harbaugh came into town was the immediate addition of Randy Moss. And Ted Ginn Jr. was 30 years old when he joined that Niner team and became their gadget player, their return specialist, their deep threat, a one-on-one nightmare, no matter his age. Then let's flip it to the other side. The Baltimore Ravens had an old man wide receiver leading the helm by the name of, I think he had 2 touchdowns in that Super Bowl. Olin? Yeah, that's an old receiver that never contributed to any teams past 30. And to continue to talk about Randy before I move on, he was 30 years old when the Raiders traded him to the Patriots. This was like a after Twilight Prime he had with the 49ers. And how could anyone ever forget, you go a little bit before that, just a few years, that Ravens team came together to stop the Patriots. And then at the end of the Patriots run that Randy Moss was also a part of, a Broncos team came together to take over for the Patriots. Peyton Manning joined the Broncos, and I'm not talking about Peyton as the 33-year-old wide receiver that joined the team and impacted them so much that they went to the Super Bowl. I am talking about when you added Wes Welker to Demaryius Thomas and Eric Decker and these guys. And you got Julius Thomas coming out at the tight end spot, and in that slot receiver, Wes Welker. You have to pick which one of these guys is the safety going to help. The guy covering Welker or the guy covering Julius Thomas? They're both absolute mismatches. And the Chargers could create something like that with Keenan Allen all over the football field. Being a leader at practice matters just as much as anything when it comes to winning a Super Bowl. And Raiders fans can't even hate on this signing. Because tell me, Raiders fans, your last Super Bowl run, what did it take? Didn't you have to bring in a GOAT we all know very well to join your wide receiver core and team up with another Hall of Fame GOAT and go to the Super Bowl on one Hail Mary shot? Of course, the Raiders lost that Super Bowl. They got blown out, but Jerry Rice, his year with the Raiders is one that cannot be forgotten, and it proves that age might not matter as much as you think on the gridiron. And the last one we cannot forget to talk about. How about when Lance Altworth left the Los Angeles Chargers after a Hall of Fame career, undoubtedly one of the best wide receivers, probably the best wide receiver of all time at the time. Instead of just walking off into the sunset on that, he needed that Super Bowl. And he knew that the Dallas Cowboys were a super team with Bob Hayes and all these guys. And all they needed was that last tight end and wide receiver combo. So Mike Ditka and Lance Altworth joined the Cowboys in the same year. They formed the first Super Bowl team ever and won a Super Bowl. Their only Super Bowls as players, I believe, both of them. Which brings me to Keenan Allen, who most likely won't even have a 1,000-yard season, right? Because no wide receivers ever had 1,000 yards after the age 33, except Jerry Rice, who did it 4 times, and Hall of Famers Chris Carter, who did it multiple times, Terrell Owens. Raiders fans, did I bring up Tim Brown? I know I brought up Anquan Bolden when I went over my long speech. Steve Largent, who we just met. Even our guy, Charlie Joyner, who we just interviewed. If you guys want to check it out, that's up on the channel. Larry Fitzgerald, Art Monk, Joey Galloway, Irving Fryer, Isaac Bruce, Andre Reed, Henry Ellard, James Lofton, Ricky Sanders. We're talking about receivers you never heard of at this point. Rod Smith, Derek Mason, even Donald Driver had a 1,000-yard receiving season after age 33. Even modern day unks if you want some names from present day football. What about Steve Smith Sr., Davante Adams, Reggie Wayne had a 1,000-yard season after the age 33. I'm telling you guys, do not sleep on a Hall of Fame wide receiver returning to team up with a Hall of Fame quarterback who he had a Hall of Fame connection with, all orchestrated by a Hall of Fame coaching staff. Don't sleep on what Keenan Allen does to add to the one-on-one mismatch creations. It's Keenan Allen, and it's another creative way that Herbert, Greg Roman, Jim Harbaugh can move the sticks on 2nd and 3rd downs to stay ahead of drives. And that really is the key. That is what Keenan Allen is specialty at. You can't cover him and Ladd on 3rd down. And if we get into any 3rd and 5, 3rd and 7, 3rd and 10 situations, that's Cook City for both these guys. Another thing, past just moving the sticks, it's another way to score touchdowns. And it's not even just Keenan Allen directly scoring touchdowns. I'm not going to come out here and say that Keenan Allen's going to score 10 touchdowns this year. I think what Keenan Allen does is he is an offensive orchestrator. He's like a receiver point guard. He opens up other guys to score touchdowns. When teams are shifting their defense, all focused on Keenan Allen, all focused on McConkey, that's when Quentin Johnston gets wide open. That's when Darius Davis gets wide open. That's when you get the running back wide open. That's when the handoffs work even better when you're worried about all that. That's when the tight end sneaks in the back of the end zone and Herbert hits him. Keenan Allen's a guy that he can motion and move around pre-snap to cause defensive confusion and create for others to get wide open, especially in the red zone. So I have with Mike Williams a lot, where Mike Williams just has to run a drag route. He has one guy on him. That guy gets lost in the coverage, and there's just nothing you can do. They don't have another plan for Mike Williams. All their attention is going to stopping Keenan Allen and Austin Eckler and these guys. You're going to see a lot of that for guys this year that you did not see in previous years. Tre Harris getting wide open in one-on-ones. KLS running drag routes and getting wide open in one-on-ones. The tight end across the back of the end zone, like I'm saying. And I think Herbert overall probably gained 3 to 5 touchdowns out of this alone to other receivers, not even on what Keenan Allen's going to do. And also, you get a leader in this wide receiver room that is extremely young since Mike Williams retired. The Chargers clearly wanted someone to be the cool head in the room, the calm guy in the room that's been here before, been in every situation. There's only one guy available on free agency that they could have probably upgraded Mike Williams from, and that was Keenan Allen when Mike Williams retired. You got Ladd McConkey in his second year, Quentin Johnston in his fourth year, third year. Those are the veterans in the wide receiver room until you get Keenan Allen in here. And what is Keenan Allen going to teach Tre Harris? What is Keenan Allen going to teach Ladd McConkey? What is Keenan Allen going to teach KLS? What is Keenan Allen going to teach Quentin Johnston? What is he going to teach Darius Davis over this season and next season, hopefully? He takes the pressure off of all those guys, but especially Quentin Johnston. Quentin Johnston now, if Ladd McConkey, we don't want anything to happen, but if anything happens to Ladd, he has to miss a game. Anything happens to Ladd, he has to miss a drive. He has to miss a half. He has to miss any time before we kind of are throwing back into the fire. Have his t-shirt laying around here somewhere. This gives you a little bit of relief, a little bit of that pressure valve down. Quentin Johnston can just go out there and have fun and do what the coaches tell him to do. He does not need to go out and do things that he's not good at. Keenan Allen can do those things. Ladd McConkey can do those things and make something out of a bad pick by Tom Telesco, our previous GM. The second biggest reason why you bring Keenan Allen in, and probably the biggest reason on Harbaugh's personal list, because all he cares about is winning football games. He does not care about any of the fans' feelings. And I love that. As much as I love getting Keenan Allen back and as much as it's touching my feelings, I know Harbaugh has brought this guy in because of what he does as a blocker. And it's hard to find wide receivers like Ladd McConkey. It's hard to find wide receivers like Quentin Johnston. It's hard to find wide receivers like Keenan Allen that are willing to block for their running backs. And the Chargers need that. This offense needs that. That is the difference between these runs being 5, 10, 15 and house calls. The house from the receivers blocking down the field and getting in these safeties' faces. And Keenan Allen is an expert at that. He's one of the best in the league at that still, and he always will be. Probably just created some rushing yards and rushing touchdowns as well for our offense by signing 13, ironically. But the number one reason why we want Keenan Allen, number one reason why it's worth it no matter his age, and this is where my feelings come into it, this is where the fandom comes into it, is because we love Keenan Allen. And so much now in sports are players leaving their teams to go to other teams and get their paydays. Keenan Allen was coming off a career best statistical year, but entering his early 30s when he left the Chargers for the Chicago Bears when we had to trade him. Chargers simply wanted him to take a pay cut, like he ended up 1 year, $8 million with the Chargers, and it's all come back full circle to where we're back here. And I hate it when that happens, but I understand it's a business. I understand that it has to happen. Very rarely do you get a chance to right a wrong like that and bring a guy back like Keenan Allen for a season like he's about to have here, where it's just 1 year and the feel goods are all there, because this is really like a twilight year. It's a dream that we never thought we could ever capture again. It was something that we thought was closed, that a chapter, a book that way on the shelf, dust already collecting. But like I said, we love 13. We love Keenan Allen. He's one of the franchise's best. He's one of the best leaders of men that the franchise and the NFL has ever seen. He is an excellent and outstanding citizen community, and he is always there for Chargers fans. Every single teammate that has ever teamed up with this guy since high school loves him. He deserves to pass these Chargers records. He has 50 receptions and around 1,300 yards as a Charger from passing the franchise records, which are both held by his friend Antonio Gates. And he and we all see Keenan Allen hang up the cleats and retire a Charger. Something that just doesn't happen in sports anymore. And even though he had to go to Chicago and have a year away to make this happen, this is an opportunity that I think if it didn't happen, Chargers fans would have always looked at it like Keenan Allen could have came back to the Chargers in that moment instead of go to the Niners, instead of go to the Rams or the Cardinals. He could have came to us, and that late in the year when we needed him, we would be calling out, this is a spot where we need Keenan Allen. Well, guess what? When that day comes and we need 13 on the field, 13 will be there. And is he the missing piece to finally unlock us Chargers fans' Super Bowl hopes and dreams? I guess sooner rather than later, the ball definitely won't lie. So yeah, Rashawn Slater injury happens right after all of that hype that I had when I recorded this Keenan Allen video that I had to post. My instant reaction was obviously my heart stuck down to my stomach. I tried to be optimistic and hope that it wasn't going to be as serious as it was, and it was more serious. For Rashawn Slater, man, I just got to meet the guy and congratulate him on the contract. I don't know whether to be happy that he signed the contract and got the money, or upset that the team has to pay him the money. As a fan, I'm in a weird spot. I'm happy for Rashawn Slater the person, because he's such a hard worker. And sorry for this. I'm doing some backyard projects to try and distract myself from this terrible news. That's why I'm outside recording. We're also watching J.J. McCarthy carving up the Texans' backups, I believe. So I'm in this weird spot where I don't know how to feel, and also we have to deal with the reality of the season. My thoughts and prayers are to Rashawn Slater. I hope that he can have a great recovery and he ends up coming back to the Chargers offensive line in future seasons, hopefully next season. For the Chargers offensive line, they've already announced, and I said this right away on Twitter, and I was saying this on Instagram, if you guys follow me over there as well, and on TikTok, that the Chargers are going to be moving Joe Alt to left tackle immediately. There's no thoughts of playing anyone else at left tackle to replace Rashawn Slater. It's the right tackle position that's going to get addressed, and hey, we have enough time in camp now to have a full-on competition between Jamari Sawyer, Trey Pipkins. This is why we drafted some of the rookies we drafted later in the draft, to give some darts at the dartboard. Maybe you land a tackle that no one was expecting to be great. It happens every single year. There's an injury and some fourth-round tackle comes out of nowhere and fills that spot and either earns a contract elsewhere, or, and this is where it gets unfortunate for Rashawn Slater. Rashawn Slater is going to have to move to right tackle and try and earn that spot instead of left tackle, because I just don't feel like when Joe Alt plays a season at left tackle, you're going to ever move him from that spot. And he's going to be on a rookie contract. So we're going to have a very expensive right tackle, a very good right tackle when he comes back from injury, and we're going to have to fill that hole with a fierce competition for that position, and whoever is the best is going to start there. The Chargers O-line is still going to be top 12 Chargers fans. Don't panic. It's not going to be that crazy. It's going to be a top 15 offensive line still. Yes, we're not going to be the elite O-line that we thought we would be, but we improved the running backs and the depth at running back for this reason, to help out the offensive line. And we're improving the weapons that can beat man coverage, especially press coverage off the line of scrimmage, so Herbert isn't sitting there like a duck. He has somewhere to go with the football on any given play, either to Ladd, to Keenan, to Tre Harris, to KLS. He has someone that can make a man miss at the actual line of scrimmage, versus last year we kind of struggled with that a little bit. And then you have the big threat, then you have the big threat OG86 as well, who can get him over the top. This is still a very loaded team, very deep team, very hungry team. And the Chargers have dealt with offensive line injuries in the past and been completely fine, because our quarterback is insanely good at football and good on the fly when he's getting rushed by even Max Crosby. He just jukes him right out of his shoes. Isaac Rochelle, is that you? Play action. Oh, jukes Crosby out of his shoes!
I went Mike on the mic, with something brand new, one time for your mind. He gave you fair warning. Now it's time to smack him in the mouth with that raw sports talk from the town. Sweet chin music to your favorite sportscaster.